Hi there everybody, it's Rarity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me again today for another card making video. This one is my design team make for the Inspire Create challenges, where we are all using shades of grey to create our projects. I really like working with the greys and you know, really nice neutral tones, but of course they lend themselves to our more sombre occasions. So I'm going to be making sympathy cards using this wonderful set. So even though it's grey and sombre, we can still make it beautiful. So I'm going to use the Layers of Beauty masks and the coordinating die set there. Okay, and for the sentiments, I'm bringing in this this nice sympathy sentiment from Something Fancy and using the dies there to cut that out. Okay, so it's not going to be terribly complicated card to make, so we'll just run through what we're using. So this one, I should probably just have a look at the colours actually. So we've got basic grey and smoky slate, and then those are sort of older colours if you like, and then grey granite was introduced a few years back, and Pebble Path is one of the in colours that will retire next summer. So those are the colours that we're using. But what I find is, so we've got what we call warm greys, and then we've got some cool greys. So for this card sample, I've used the cool greys of Smoky Slate and Basic Grey. For this one, I'm going to use the warmer tones, which is the Grey Granite and the Pebble Path. Okay, so as you might imagine then, the lighter background is the Smoky Slate with the Basic Grey as the layer, and then I've used a combination of those inks to shade the flowers. Okay, using the Smoky Slate for the actual blooms and the Basic Grey for the flowers, just to give you that contrast. Okay, and the Basic Grey for the sentiment. Just used some residual ink to knock back the white cardstock. It just didn't look right on a stark white background. Okay, and then we've got these lovely pearls, which are actually Basic Grey and Smoky Slate. Okay, but again, the darker ones have more of a warmer tone to them, so I think we can get away with them on the other card. So I'll use the slate ones on this one, and we'll use the other ones on the card we're going to make in the other two colours. Okay, so it's going to be a variation on the theme, just using those different colours. So it's a grey granite card base, and I've already cut my Pebble Path layer there. Okay, so a lot more brown in this. That's why it's a warm grey. It's got the grey, that brown undertone. Okay, the card layer that's going to go behind is one of my so this is a 3.5 by 5.25, and then we've got the panel around there to coordinate with that. Just cut it 1/8 of an inch taller and wider. Little scrap there for doing our sentiment later. So for the blending then, we're going to need some grid paper just to protect the work surface. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that into place, and then we're going to use our masks. So I've already cut down the cardstock here, and I know where it all needs to be because I've done this done a mock-up already kind of thing. So we'll just pop that there, and it's not going to get in the way. And I'm going to get another piece of tape that I can use to secure the masks. So there are 5 masks in this set. You can use all of them, or some of them. There's a number in the background, in the corner there, sorry, indicating what order you need to put. You should do them in. Don't have to do it in that order, but obviously it's a good starting point. And obviously, because I've done this before, I've already got my marks on the grid paper there, just to let me know where I need to pop this. I'm going to use a bit of tape just to help me secure it at the top, and then I can just hold it in place there. Now I'm using a different recording device, and that is looking quite dark on my my screen, so I'm hoping that this isn't too dark for you to see. I've got my normal lighting on, so hopefully it's okay. So we're going to start with our lightest colour, which is the grey granite. A little bit of fluff there, and I've got a large and a small blending brush, or what do they call them? Don't they just call them blending brushes, and this is a small blending brush, or mini blending brush even. And I've just got some scrap paper to knock back the ink, because we're going to load up the brush, but we're going to take off a lot of that ink. We just want it really light, but we want the brush kind of coated. Okay, so I'm just going to knock that right back so that it's barely got any ink on it, and we'll start going around the edges here. Just dropping in some colour. Don't want the whole thing blended in. I want to preserve a little bit of the white, so I'm only doing a little bit around the edges there. Okay, and you'll see that the colour sort of pools around the edge. Okay, so that's the first layer down, just a really light covering for now. And then we're going to line up our number 2 stencil, mask, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I'm going to use the same brush, and I'm not going to add any more ink. I'm just going to go over this again and build up that colour. Okay, you can minimise any sort of wastage by just sort of sweeping in the ink there. Okay, so once you've got the little you know, your sort of little prepper areas set up, this is quite quick to do. Okay, you might even want to, you know, if you did want to do several of these, you could, because you've got your cardstock cut down to the right size, and then you've marked where the cardstock's going to be. In theory, you can swap out the card and do several at the same time. Just thinking, you know, if these were like red flowers for Christmas or something like that, you could probably do a couple of different ways of batch making. So again, just sort of sweeping in that residual ink, and I have not gone back to the ink pad at all. I've just layered on all that ink that was already on the brush and built it up from there. Okay, and this is what we get. Okay, really nice layered look. There is a die that cuts out just a portion of those as well, so you could stop there and just use the die and go from there. So that's grey granite. We're going to bring in basic, not basic grey, pebble path now, and I'm going to switch to the smaller brush because the next 2 stencils will keep calling them stencils because that feels like the right thing. A mask is something that covers, I don't know, anyhow, stencil, mask, whatever. These are just the leaves now, so we're going to do this in the pebble path now. This is going to be really dark because it is an in colour. I've only had it 12 months or whatever, so that's not going to have, it's going to be a much darker ink. Okay, so taking that right back and just going to go real gently across that first layer. I think on my original one with the basic grey, I did want the contrast with the leaves, because that's why I used the dark colour, but I felt like this first layer was a little heavy, which means the detail from the number 5 layer didn't come through as well as I'd have hoped, but it still turned out fine. There's just something to bear in mind. And again, just sweeping in some of that residual ink there. Okay, so that grey granite, yes, grey granite is really, as it's drying back, those browner tones are really coming through now. I think we'll find that with the Pebble Path as well. Okay, so this is number 5, and again, well, actually, shall I? I'm going to pop just the merest bit of extra ink on there for this little bit of extra detail on these leaves. It pulls in those veins. And if we, because we've got this taped hinge here, we can lift it up and reposition it and have a look at how that's developing. See whether we need anything else on there. Okay, oops, let's see if she can get hold of it. Oh, I think that looks cool. Might do a bit more down here and there. There we go. That should do it. Yep. Okay. So that's cool. We can, I think I'm happy with that, and I think I shall let that dry properly. So the colours look quite different. Actually, there's a bit of a contrast between those, and I think you'll think it's coming through on the camera that the grey granite looks quite brown compared to the Pebble Path, but it might be that it's still just drying back. But I really like it. It's kind of got that, I don't know, vintagey kind of look to it. It's really, really cool. Okay, when you compare it to that. And again, that's sort of dried back a little bit. Sorry, just getting used to where the new lens is. Okay, right, so let's just peel that back. This low tack, this washi tape will just peel back, but we're die cutting it anyway, so those corners aren't going to get too knocked up. And then, but even if you were going to keep that as a panel, if you just tack it in the corners, it shouldn't interfere with what we're doing. So we'll just let that dry completely while I just want to show you a quick tip for cleaning off your stencils. So of course you can just wipe them off and everything with some water, but I actually find that if you give them a spritz with a little bit of alcohol, that it rubs off, and not only does it rub off, it's spanking clean. It's and it's dry straight away, so I can put these away almost immediately. Okay, so I'm not going to do all of them, but it's dead easy to get those cleaned off, and like I say, they are dry straight away, ready for use. So if you are doing a lot of cards and you need that time, need those done quickly, then you can do so. But we'll do the rest of those later. But I just wanted to show you that they dry up really nicely. We'll stamp our sentiment and get that die cut though, and we need to do the die cutting of the this as well. So we'll get this die lined up, which is nice and easy to do. So as you go for these points of these leaves at the top and down here, and that should take care of everything else in the middle. And take that down. So that's ready to go, and that fits on the sideways on the plate quite nicely, which means there's room to do this. So we'll use the Pebbled Path, which is the darker colour of the two that we've used for this particular card, and we'll pop that into place. And we're going to do a double die cutting technique here, because I didn't want this label to be super huge on this. I wanted something a little narrower, so I didn't cover up too much of the design that I'd created. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of our low tack tape again, and I'm going to just make that top edge line up where I want it. Just think is there somewhere there. Okay, and then it moved. Yeah, it'll do. Okay, and we're going to run this through once, and you can see that that bottom edge isn't going to cut at all. Not properly anyway, but we'll fix that when we do the second round. So let's run this through once with our larger our main image. Clunking away, that's fine, don't worry if your machine does that. Okay, so that just cuts out as one piece ready to layer on to our card. Okay, and then this die we're going to use again, so that bottom edge isn't cut properly. It's all wonky, so we're going to flip round this sentiment. We're going to reposition the die. It'll be easier for me to hold it if it's this way, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to make sure that that die locks in along that edge, and you'll feel it. You'll feel that ridge, the cutting edge of the die slot into place. Okay, line it up where you want it, and then tack that down, and then we'll run it through again, and that'll cut off that bottom edge. To match the top. Okay, so that's cut through, and then we should have a skinnier version of that label. Okay, so this technique works well if there's like a straight edge that you can then marry it up with, so any kind of label or whatever. And you can do the same thing with a punch as well, in a similar fashion. So if let's just do this and show you what I mean. So let's put it down here, and let's grab our modern oval. No, hasn't got a straight edge. Our hexagon. So if you've got a label or anything like that with a straight side edge or a top edge, even, you could extend. You can extend the oval this way, but not so easily that way. But this one you can make into a sort of longer hexagon. So I can line up the top edge there. Like so. Sorry, I'm just trying to line that up, which means I'll stop breathing. There we go. But then we're going to want that bottom edge cut as well. Okay, so we can flip that round. Okay, you might want to use post-it note or something to hold it. That's the only thing with doing it with a punch. Or something. This is what happens when you do things that you weren't planning to do. You aren't prepared for it. So I'm lining it up, making sure that those side edges look like they're lined up. Get the bottom edge lined up where you want it to be, and we'll punch that way. Okay, and then that, obviously that's just post-it note tape, so that's not gonna be a concern. Okay, but you get this sort of skinnier look from your punches as well. Isn't that cute? I quite like that. I'm almost tempted to use it. Right, okay, so there you go. You can do that with punches too. All right, so that's your freebie tip for this video that I've chucked in there. Okie dokie. Yeah, it's cute, isn't it? I might leave it in case I want to use it. Okay, let's see how it all marries up then. So we're going to need to knock back this white because it looks a bit strange if you, in fact, I might do that. I might switch around the orientation as well. I always seem to put it that way around. I think that's because the flowers look like they're that way up. Yeah, I think that's why, because that flower looks like it's upside down otherwise. Okay. I felt like the bright white on the background was a bit distracting, but I don't know, you might not feel the same, but for me it's just a bit on the bright side. So I am going to bring in some scrap and just use some residual ink, literally nothing extra on here. I'm not even going to open the ink pad, but I'm just going to put a little bit of that grey granite around the edges here, just to knock that back a bit. And again, it doesn't have to be a smooth super blend or anything. I'm just wanting to take away that that stark colour. Okay, there we go. Done. Right, trusty Stampin' Seal to do our layering. Just pop that down and then straight onto our card base. Not doing any the only thing that's going to be popped up on dimensionals is the main floral piece. There we are. Okay, and then the floral element, we need about half a dozen of these dimensionals. So on the back of each of these main flowers and a couple in the middle, which is fine. You know, add more if you want, but for me that is sufficient. And the middle ones are really only to stop it sort of getting squished, really. So if you are mailing it, don't want it to end up with a great dent in it. And we'll pop that down somewhere around there, overhanging the edges a little bit, which I always think is kind of nice, gives it a nice look. Okay, then we're going to add our sentiment, and I'm really tempted to use my little diamond. I think it looks cute. Should we just do it? But of course, if you want to, just use that die cut, you know. So, but for this, we'll go with it. I just need to grab some ribbon, which I put away when after I made the other one, and then didn't think about the fact that I would need it for my other card. So let's run some seal across the back of that. And pop that on, and then we can just chop that off. Do it at an angle it's deliberately wonky rather than trying to get it straight. And because it's ribbon, I'm just going to use a bit of multi-purpose glue on there to make sure that that's nice and well adhered. That will soak through the ribbon and make sure that contact with the Stampin' Seal stays nice and firm. and we'll pop this on. And again, that ribbon's getting close to the edge, but that will just fit in the envelope, no problem. But it just adds that just a little bit of shine to something that would ordinarily be quite, you know, that somber look to it. And then we just need to add on our lovely little pearls. So here they are. Yeah, so bring those a little bit closer. I don't know whether that comes across so well on the camera actually, but especially with all these in the background. In fact, let me get, there we go, let's get some white cardstock. Yeah, it's hard for you to discern on the camera, but these are definitely sort of more of a silver than these ones. Okay, so they are subtly different, much more apparent in real life. Okay, so we'll just use our take your pick tool and we will pop these on. So we're going to go with our lovely rule of threes and our, well, odd numbers is what we're going for actually. And we want the design to sort of meander through here. Okay, so 5 gems that we can use there just to sort of frame that up. Okay, now we can pop those away, and that's our grey granite and pebbled path variation done. Okay, and then this one was smoky slate and basic grey, so they have come out looking quite different. Okay, I think that comes across on the screen for you. Okay, and a bit, but again, mix and match them. You know, that's not necessarily a combo you want to use. You might find that you want to use something different, but keep going with that. I really like the silver little edges there with these lovely pearls. And then there was your bonus trick with, let's just move because that's not quite dry yet. Bonus trick with reducing the size of a die cut or a punched element to fit the sentiment that you want to use. So I hope that's been a helpful tutorial and a reminder of how beautiful this set is. I haven't used it for a little while. I absolutely love it. I've got loads of other examples using this set of masks in loads of different colours. Looks good monochromatically, or chucking every colour at it you want. Depends on your stash. See what you've got. This was a design team make, so please do hop along into the description below and check out the Inspire Create challenges for this time, which is our Shades of Grey challenge, and of course the design team will have made their projects, which will be there as well for you to take some inspiration from. If you do want to participate, the link's there and you can upload a photo and show us what you make with these colours. So that's it from me. Thanks ever so much for joining me for a longer video today. Do stay safe, take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.